today we're going to make a super simple, wildly popular American thing, but we're going to make a keto version, and that is a grilled cheese or a grilled cheese sandwich. Growing up in England, we didn't have grilled cheese sandwiches. We had something called cheese on toast, or Welsh rarebit we called it, and it was toast with then cheese on top, which was then put under the broiler or the grill if you're not American, to make it golden and bubbling. So that was kind of our version. And then when I came here and people were talking about grilled cheese, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And when I asked somebody what it was and I started making them, I was like, wow, these are awesome. And it's one of the things that was a really nice comfort food for me and a lot of y'all as well. So I thought it would be good to show you how to do it. I know there's a lot of people who come to keto and have never walked in a kitchen other than to microwave fast food. So there may be some of you out there who have never made a grilled cheese pre-keto. So I thought I'd show you how. And it's a very simple, very comforting way to make keto exciting again if you've got in a little bit of a rut. So grilled cheese, I am using, now this is, despite the fact that I'm wearing Fox Hill Kitchen's apron, this is not sponsored by Fox Hill. The people at Fox Hill don't even know I'm doing this. I just happen to have one of their aprons, and I am using Fox Hill buns. They have these large buns which are fully keto, and there is a link below to these, and there's also a discount code. So below, go check that out. If you already love these, there's a discount code, and if you've never tried them but you want to, there's a discount code. So Fox Hill buns is what I'm using. You of course can use, if there's another keto bun you prefer, you can use that. This is just what we're using today. So I've got my bun, and I'm going to get a chopping board to protect the things. So this is called a serrated knife because the edge is serrated. So, and the best action to use with a serrated knife is a sawing action. So we're just going to hold the top down, and then because it's serrated, we're going to saw. We're going to saw our way carefully through that bun, hopefully in half. There we go. Now, the thing that you want to do with a cheese sandwich is with a bun instead of 2 slices of bread, which is how it would normally be done, is you want to do it inside out. So the inside will become the outside of your sandwich. And the reason we do this is because buns tend to be lumpy. It would be a lot more difficult to get this side evenly toasted, whereas these are flat. So we're going to build it like that so that you've got perfectly flat surfaces to toast instead of trying to toast lumpy surfaces. So I've got my buns here, and I'm going to butter, actually I'm just going to butter one of them. I find it easier to soften the butter. This that I'm using here is called a palette knife, and because of its shape and it's very, the palette knives are bendy, they're flexible. I find this easier to use. If you don't have a palette knife, you can use any regular knife, but a palette knife I find easy. So if you have one, dig that out. And then I am going to butter the inside of 1/2 of our bun, and you want to do a good job because this is the side that you're actually going to toast in the pan. So you want to make sure that the butter's even, so it's nice and golden. So there's that. Okay, now I'm going to turn this one upside down, and I'm not going to butter it, and I'm going to do my cheese next. So this is actually because I felt like a very exciting grilled cheese sandwich. And we being Yogi Parker and I, we do a thing called Cheese of the Week, where we review all these exciting cheeses, and this is one of the exciting cheeses we reviewed recently. It is double Gloucester with onion and chives, and I will link below to our review so you can hear all about this cheese. So I'm using this. You can obviously use any hard cheese, melty cheese that you like. So Gouda would be great for this, cheddar would be great for this, Gruyere would be great for this. Anything that's hard to start with but then melts well. And I'm actually going to use this because if I do the thin pieces, they're all going to kind of fall out and it's going to be messy before it's melted. So I'm going to use this and I'm going to go this way so I get bigger pieces, and then I'm just going to layer my cheese into what's going to be my sandwich. I do have my pan on very low heat over here. It's just getting warm, so it's going to be ready. And this does it quite thin, so I'm going to go for a second row. You can obviously, if you have a thicker piece of cheese that's easier to work with, you can totally use a knife to make slices. But when you've got an awkward piece like this, I just find it easier to maneuver this rather than a knife, which tends to be a bit wibbly wobbly. So I'm building up my layers of cheese here. A nice fat, juicy cheese sandwich. Okay, I'm going to put those loose bits in the middle where they can't escape. One more piece on the side there. And then I'm going to put my bun upside down, buttered side up, and I'm going to flip it butter side down into my pan. Got my handy dandy spatula here. This spatula, because of the way it's designed, because of the bend like this, it will make it a lot easier for you to maneuver this around in the pan. If you have something that's straight, it's gonna be a lot more awkward. So if you have one of these, this would be a great thing to use. If you don't have one of these, use a flat one. It'll just be a bit more difficult to maneuver. So I've got my sandwich there. I'm pushing it down just to get the heat up faster and also to make sure the cheese doesn't escape. And that's already bubbling away down there. Now I'm going to get my palette knife. You can see how flexible that is. And I'm going to carefully hold with one hand. This is another reason why it's easier to use if your butter is a bit softer, because this is a little bit delicate. But if you just hold one side down with one hand and butter the other side, so that when you flip your sandwich, you can toast the other side. And as I say, go right to the edge if you want a nice toasted sandwich all the way around. So there we go. So now that's buttered on that side. My cheese is melting. If you carefully lift it, you should be able to see if it's browning, and it is getting brown, but it's not quite brown yet. This should be pretty fast. Just going to move my cheese over there. Move my butter out of the way. So you are going to get, because of the shape of the buns, you are going to get a bit of the cheese seeping out. It's not quite as tidy as a sandwich, but it tastes so good I'm not going to care. Okay, and it's starting to get nice golden brown under there. Now you can see why this is super useful for making it easy. The other thing you can do, which will make it easier for you, instead of trying to flip that over and hope that it all sticks together, if you hold the pan up and bring it to meet your sandwich, and there you'll see that the top now is a lovely golden brown, and we're just going to cook the other side. The pan is nice and hot now, so you'll probably find that the second side takes less time to brown up than the first side. So we're just going to leave that to brown up for a minute. And of course, if you like it crunchier or browner, you're quite welcome to either leave it to cook a bit longer on the first side or flip it back over and cook it a little bit more. I remember the first time I had a grilled cheese in America, and I was like, oh my goodness, why don't we do this in England? These things are magical. I was completely smitten. So I'm incredibly grateful for Julie from Fox Hill Kitchens for making buns that enable us all to have grilled cheese again. Now, let's see how that's doing. Not quite as brown, but that's okay. We can simply flip it back over again. Bring the pan to meet it if that makes it easier for you. Just leave that a little bit longer, but you can see how handy having a spatula with a offset handle is. So the great thing about cheese, and one of the reasons why we do the Cheese of the Week review every week, is because you can really make keto a lot more exciting just by changing up your cheese. So if you've only ever had a toasted cheese with cheddar in it, or maybe jack, or maybe mozzarella, I highly recommend that you go to your local deli, you watch some of our Cheese of the Week reviews and pick a cheese that sounds interesting and go to the store and get some and make yourself a grilled cheese with that instead of what you normally use. And I promise that all of a sudden your keto will totally be on a new level just by changing your cheese out. If you have a Trader Joe's near you, I highly recommend that you visit their cheese section. They have a lot of interesting cheeses, flavored cheeses, a lot, and they have seasonal cheeses as well, and they are typically quite a bit cheaper than the deli sections in grocery stores. So Trader Joe's is one of my favorite places for getting interesting cheeses to try at a reasonable price. So I expect this is going to be just about done now. There we go. So there is our grilled cheese. Don't forget to turn the heat off. And now, very carefully, I would advise 2 fingers and again a serrated knife, because you want to saw it, not, if you try and cut it with a knife, you're just going to make a mess. So you want to saw. You hold it steady with 2 fingers and use a sawing action to cut through. And there you have your ooey, very gooey grilled cheese sandwich. Enjoy!